What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about CleanSpark and HUT today. CleanSpark is for me at my request, and HUT for KK Prabusi. KK. We're talking about HUT for KK. And then CleanSpark for me because, I had a few of you talking about it. You had some questions. You didn't really request it, but I figured going over it because there were a few of you that brought it up nonetheless. So from low to high here, relative low to high, we have a 382 all the way down there at $6.20, right below the green line here. Let's see. I guess we don't have a whole lot of historical data to go off of, but that's okay. Anytime you found support on it before or even resistance, you did go a little bit through it. You went a little bit through it. Here you fell just short of it, and that's okay. But with the way that 382s, with the way that fibs behave, I kind of would expect that you would go below this green line to your 382, maybe even a little bit below your 382. I do think that prices at least below $8 are in store for CleanSpark. Below $7, I'm pretty confident in for sure. And I would even go as far as saying that below $6 is also possible. Below $5, probably not. Probably not. But let's see here. If we take the more relative low to high, you've got a 618, 69 retracement down here. If we were to draw kind of like a straight line on this thing, that's not really too straight, but you see what I'm going for. That would kind of put you around your 618, 69 area. So it's very possible that you could see prices below $6. It's also possible that you might hold this 0.5 or even this 382 still below $8 is what I think is going to happen. So back with this like more significant fib, I'm looking for prices to go below $6.20 probably. And I know that it's at $6.20, but again, it's very common to go a little bit below your 382 whenever you find support in that area. You might even go to your 0.5, but you might. So maybe you do go below $5, but just barely. And there is support in that area. Maybe you do. But I know a lot of you had questions about today because we did open up the day coming down. We were down like 10% at the lowest today, and we closed the day with 5% in the positive. What a volatile day. Very decent volume. The most volume we've seen basically since like 2 weeks ago, actually. But that's not really saying much because the last like couple weeks we had Christmas and Christmas Eve and New Year's, right? So days where the stock market was closed. But really in like the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of price action, this was the second most volume we've seen. Decent volume, decent day. I do still very much think the price is going lower. For anybody that's been holding on to this, that you've been looking to sell, great. You got an extra 5% to sell. You know what I mean? Maybe it goes up more. I'm not completely throwing out the idea that it could go up more from here. But if it were to go up more, I doubt that you'd break above 1232. I very much doubt that you'd break above 1232. And I'm expecting this turnaround to happen any day now. It probably begins. We've already began it, but it resumes, I should say, once the Bitcoin ETF news comes out, right? And yep, we had a little bit of a bounce off the 50. Not bad. Not bad. Looking at the structure of this RSI, it is possible that you could come all the way back up here, right? Find resistance on this kind of line, you're finding support on this kind of line, you have like a channel, you could be ping-ponging off of it, right, doing stuff like that. And again, I think something like that would take you all the way back up to like your $12, maybe even into the $13 range. You could have some kind of double top move coming in, right? But I do think you still have lower to go. I'm not phased at all. I'm definitely being patient with this thing. Just as whenever we found a little turbulence here, I was patient with it. Just as when we found a little turbulence here, I was patient with it. Finally, we got up here and I took profits. I don't care if it pulls back, does its thing, whatever. I'm going to be patient. I think that by the end of this month, we will be substantially lower than we are now. I'm not recommending that anybody sell. I haven't sold any of my stocks. I did sell my call options, which were not the stocks, but the options itself. And I haven't sold the stock. I don't plan on selling the stock, even though I plan on it going lower. I just plan on buying more. That's all that I would recommend. Not that I recommend anything. It's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a guy at my house with a Christmas tree in January. Like it's not like the most professional environment. Though I try to keep it somewhat professional. But anyways, down. Down is where I think we're going. I'm unfazed by today, definitely unfazed. It could continue to go up a little bit. I actually want to see on the 1 hour. Yeah, you know what you got on the 1 hour? You've got more agreeing to the downside. You've got a high here, higher high here, lower high here. You're finding resistance on your green line where you found support before, found resistance before. You don't respect it too much, but nonetheless you have this high, higher high, lower high. That's hidden bearish divergence, and I do think you're in the beginning of a downtrend, so I think that this would mark continuation. Look at that, even rejecting your 60 area like that. I think you're going down. I do. Very, very confident in that. Look at that. Not bearish divergence, but rejecting the overbought zone here. You know, the last time you kind of had a maneuver like that, sent you down hard. You had a maneuver like that over here, right here, and sent you down hard, right, after a big pump up, after a little bit of a pump up. So I'm not fazed by this at all. I think that it is going to come down. So enough of CLSK. I think that's all I got to say on that. Let's move on to HUT 8. HUT, looking at it here. HUT. It also had a little bit of a green date. It's red, but you can see the percentage over here. It's plus 0.8%, so it went up a little bit after coming down. Nice little bit of a recovery. You are below your 50 though. You actually even rejected it a little bit. What's nice about HUT is you're still holding this kind of like ascending trend line. I do think you'll break it. I think that getting this hot in the overbought zone is a indication that you could be willing to go all the way down to your oversold zone. It's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed, but a little something that I've learned or observed in my time trading is that anytime you're in the overbought zone and you break below the 50 before you go back to the overbought zone, unless you break below it, like it's like a fake out one day and then you come back up, unless it's like that, like it's a break below the 50 but not really, where like this, in my opinion, this is definitely a break below the 50. You've had several days, you've even found a little resistance on it. When you break below the 50 after being overbought, you will not see the overbought zone again until you see the oversold zone, right? It's like a destiny, you have to. And I would say that that's not always the case. It's like 70% of the time, maybe 80% of the time. And every chart's different. Some charts might respect that more, some charts might respect that less. But just generally speaking, I'd say like 70 to 80% of the time, that's how it is, right? You were overbought, you went below the 50, even though you went a little bit back above it, you still didn't get back into the overbought zone until you got oversold, right? And then here, you were oversold, you broke above the 50, you didn't get back into the oversold zone until you were overbought, and you know, we're actually still not even in the oversold zone there. It's just kind of a theory, an observation I've made, if that makes sense, right? You got oversold here, broke above the 50. Yes, you broke below it, you wig-wagged a little bit, but you didn't get oversold again until you got overbought. Call it coincidence, call it whatever you want. I don't know if like that's a rule, you know. It's just something that I've observed. You got oversold here, and yes, you did break out of it, but you didn't break above the 50, and hence you got oversold again. Okay, it fits the criteria. Let's see if we can find an example where that doesn't. So like this is kind of a one-off, right? You were overbought here, broke below the 50, you didn't get oversold, and then you went all the way to your overbought zone again, but you didn't technically get into it, but I'd say that's still close enough. That's still kind of uncommon. Though technically speaking, I guess it does fit the rule still. But here again, oversold. Here, okay, there we go. Oversold, broke above the 50, didn't get overbought, and you did see the oversold zone again before seeing the overbought zone. So it's not a 100% of the time thing. But out of like the 6 or 5 examples that I gave you, only one of them proved to not be true. So again, 70 to 80% of the time, if that makes sense. And I did not do this before. I was just winging it right there just to see if it would prove me right. And again, every chart's different. Nothing is a guarantee. But what I'm trying to say here, if you could follow me, is that overbought, broke below the 50. You probably don't go back up into areas of strength again until you see the oversold zone. That's all that I've observed in my time trading, which is about 7 years worth of experience. So if that's worth anything at all. But it's just my opinion, not a financial advisor, not financial advice. Top to bottom, or bottom to top here, bounced right off your 618. That's beautiful. Finding significance on your fibs. I love it. You could go up to your 382 again. It is possible. Find resistance there and then make your way down. I do think that HUT 8 could find support in the area of 950 to about 870, somewhere here, or you might be going down to see extensions. You really could. And I know that that's not encouraging, but if you zoom out, it's still a higher low. So it's nothing really too concerning, right? I mean, I know it's not exciting. You want to see things go up right now, and that would be like a 50% drop from here. There is very much still hope that you could find support at around 870 to 950. Was it 960? 955? Yeah, somewhere in there. But I do think you're going to go lower. I definitely think that you'll break below $9.60 with a solid chance of even breaking below like $7 or lower, right? Let's see, actually. Bottom to top. This 618 is all the way down at 765, 674. You could go down there. You absolutely could. Bottom to top here. 1272 just below that 69. You might not see that 1272. It's less significant than this fib here. You might not see it. But I do think that, you know, the odds of you going below $8, they're definitely strong. They're definitely there. The odds of you finding support above 870 that is also there. It's also decent, but lower market caps tend to be more volatile and see more like kind of extreme moves. So who knows? Who really knows what's going to happen? But let's see here. Looking at the weekly, not really a whole lot to go off of. It kind of looks bullish, to be completely fair. It kind of does look bullish. But again, back to that whole idea, overbought, broke below the 50. I don't think you're going to see the overbought zone again until you go oversold. But it's not 100% of the time. So it doesn't look half bad. I kind of like this structure, to be honest, but I just know better, man. I think that I think we're going to see a sell-off across the markets here pretty soon. You found resistance here once, dropped you down. You just found resistance 2 weeks ago. I bet you have lower to go, and that's all I got for you, man. If I really had to guess where I think the price was going for this thing, I would say somewhere between 770 and 950. That's my best guess if I really had to guess it. And genuinely speaking, I actually would expect that you do go below that low there. I would think you go below it. Prime buying opportunity below that low. Anyways, that's all I got. If you liked the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate you. And you know, if you want to hold this stuff, you don't want to sell it, that's okay. Just remember that if, I say if because it's not guaranteed, but you know, I very much do believe it's going to go lower. Just remember that you want to hold it even when it's down here, because you don't want to sell down here. You don't buy high and then sell low. That's not how it happens. Okay, that's really not how it happens. And I don't even think it's a good time to sell now, because this thing could go up to $15, $16 and then drop. And then when it's up here and you sold down at $12, you're going to be compelled. You're going to feel the FOMO to buy up here, and then you're in an even worse position. So if you don't know what to do, if you're feeling the FOMO, if you're feeling confused, just sit on your hands. Wait for the price to come down, buy more. And if it doesn't come down and you're expecting it to go down like I am, you're going to be happy to be wrong. It's, you know, don't make it more complicated than it has to be. As time goes on throughout the cycle, a lot of these mining stocks are going to be substantially higher than they are now. So why risk it? Why play the game? Just sit on your hands, wait for the prices to come lower, and buy more. And if they don't, cool, you're making money. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. Not financial advice, just my opinions. Take care. Bye-bye.